Allow me to share with you a brief Torah thought about Purim, which we'll be celebrating very shortly. The Gemara in Megillah says, "Michayev inish lebesume bepuria." A person is obligated to inebriate himself on Purim, ad lo yada bein or Haman lebaruch Mordechai, until he knows not the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. What a strange concept, that on the one hand the sages should tell us that we should inebriate ourselves. Since when is it a mitzvah to lose one's intellect? If after all of the prophets talk about the evils of alcohol and losing oneself. And second of all, how is one supposed to fulfill this mitzvah, to not know the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai? Is it proper and appropriate for me to get to that level of not appreciating that there's good and evil in the world and not know the difference between the two? There are a number of very creative answers to this idea. However, what comes out from a number of commentaries is that the whole idea of inebriation on Purim is that the whole miracle of Purim took place through mishtei hayayin, through many different festive events having to do with wine. You see, when Jews are living under persecuting conditions, many times the only way to find respite and to find some level of escape from that experience or that world, that milieu of persecution, is to escape through external devices such as wine, such as inebriation. And what the Gemara in Megillah is trying to tell us is that the miracles of Purim took place specifically at a very dark period for the Jewish people. And the way that the Jews were able to find an escape and to be able to find Hashem was to be able to indulge a little bit in, not a lot, but in a very small amount, of being able to find an escape from their present-day persecution and be able to elevate themselves above their present-day existence in the diaspora. But it goes deeper than that. Because the salvation of the Jewish people took place through their drinking of wine, Esther made a party, and through that party she was able to cause the downfall of Haman. We want to recreate that kind of downfall for Haman by having our own mishtei hayayin to emulate and to imitate the party that Esther made for Achashverosh and Haman. Some of the other Meforshim explain that we also want to try and atone for the inappropriate drinking that we did when we went to Achashverosh's party, when the Jews of Shushan gave up hope and started drinking recklessly and wantonly because they thought that now that the temple was destroyed, there's no more hope for the Jewish people. And therefore we rectify that by drinking a l'chaim specifically because we know that Hashem is in charge of the world, and we celebrate that fact. And so we rectify with the very item that we used to lose ourselves and to detach ourselves from God, we reattach ourselves with that very device of wine. And finally, Rav Sternbuch writes a very beautiful idea. When we talk about knowing not the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai, there's a deeper meaning here, is that we all go through stages in Jewish history. There are different periods of Jewish history. Some periods of Jewish history could be called the period of cursed is Haman, when the cursed Haman, the persecutor of the Jewish people, has ascendancy over the Jewish people. And those periods of history, such as during the Shoah, Rahmana Litzlan, or other very dark periods of pogroms and persecution, when Haman had ascendancy, those are known as the periods of Ur Haman. And there are other periods in Jewish history, thank God, like we live in today, of Baruch Mordechai, when the Jewish people are in their heyday and are experiencing a renaissance and rejuvenation and religious suffrage and so forth. Those are periods called Baruch Mordechai in Jewish history. If a Jew can get to the point where he knows not the difference between both periods in history, because he recognizes that God is orchestrating all of human history, and God, through his orchestration, has a plan, and part of that plan is that during certain times in Jewish history there's suffering, and certain times in Jewish history there's salvation. And a Jew is able to come to that recognition that God is behind everything that happens to the Jewish people, that he's fulfilled the mitzvah of Purim to recognize that God is in the most hidden of places in this world, that no matter how dark the world may seem, Hashem is always there. And if a person can just have a little bit of a l'chaim to brighten his heart during a dark time in his life and come to that recognition, he'll have fulfilled this Talmudic dictum. Wishing you a freilich and Purim, a very, very happy and joyous Purim. And may you come to the point where you know not the difference between Ur Haman, cursed is Haman, and Baruch Mordechai, blessed is Mordechai.